Welcome art, graphics and photography students at Thomas Rotherham College. This video will introduce you to the personal written study. This is the essay that you'll create to accompany the practical part of your Component 1 project that you've already started. This video will also help you start the fancy bit of your academic writing, making sure you know the aim of the essay and the skills you must evidence. It would be useful for you to have any sort of pen and paper at the ready so you can make notes throughout the video. Let's go. What is the personal written study? The personal written study is a fancy word for essay. Your Component 1, or coursework, requires you to create a formal written essay of between 2,000 to 3,000 words. Your essay could potentially give you an extra 18 marks towards your Component 1, which means it's worth 20% of your coursework project. This means that this essay is 12% of your overall A-level. This is actually quite a big chunk for only 2,000 words, and you can make a big difference to the end grade you achieve for your creative A-level. By your final draft, your personal written study will need an academic and intelligent piece of writing, demonstrating your knowledge and understanding of art and design in a wider context. It needs to link directly to your practical work, but it's not to be the diary or narrative about what you have created. That is what the annotation in your sketchbook is for. Your essay will focus on a topic that you choose and one that connects to the ideas, concepts and themes explored in your own work. To give yourself the best chance of doing this well, it's important to have chosen a concept to explore that's interesting, reliable and academic, so that your research can be thorough and credible. If you pick a topic that does not have much about it, then you could be making it more difficult for yourself. Why is the personal written study important? Well, it gives you the opportunity to provide evidence of traditional academic skills in your essay. And the personal written study also helps you to develop your own ideas for your practical work as you research, describe, and analyse the work of others in detail. These two parts of Component 1 should complement each other, demonstrating your knowledge and understanding of art and design in a wider context. This means you research and analyse the work of an artist to make sophisticated connections to their own inspirations and meaning behind their work. For example, let's have a look at the well-known artist Tracey Emin, who created a piece called My Bed. Without context, this is just a bed. But it's much more than that. It's connected to historical art through its concept, such as Edward Monk's The Scream, which is famously about his own mental breakdown. It visually references the luxurious swathes of fabric in John Singer Sargent's Non-Colour. The bed is also a product of its time, 1998, referencing changing attitudes, freedoms, but increasing pressures on women to conform. Making connections between artists, your work and the world around us shows your understanding of art in context. We've so far discussed what the written personal study is and why it's important, but how is the full essay structured? The overall structure of your essay is important. It needs to be organised and clear between each section so it flows when anyone reads it. There are 5 sections to the essay, which are: 1. The title page. This is the front cover of your essay, which needs to be visual and eye-catching, just like any book wants to be. 2. The introduction. This lays out the aim of the essay and what is going to be explored so that anyone reading it will know what is going to be discussed in the essay. 3. The main body. This is where you will include your artist analyses. Usually, 3 artists are explored, your comparison between them to make sophisticated connections and discussions. There will also be a section in this where you discuss your own work and how you've been inspired by the artist you've analysed. This is called your synthesis. 4. Conclusion. This summarises the whole essay. but not a repetition of the main body, and aims to round up and answer your title and any questions that have been put forward. And 5, bibliography. This is a working document where you include links and references as to where you've collected your research from. This is a particularly important part of your essay because without it, you can be disqualified for plagiarism, and it's also a requirement of the specification. You must show where you found your research and any quotes included. You'll receive resources for each of these sections from your teacher. You'll receive a document which is referred to as the Builder Guide, and this is explained to you separately. Make sure you use this. It will help you. You can find it digitally on Moodle, so save your own copy and edit it however you want. You now know how the essay is structured, but how are the artist sections structured within it? These will be the main bulk of your essay. You need to show evidence of the following 4 skills within an artist section: research, description, analysis, and synthesis. Let's look at these individually to understand them.
Research, the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions.
But how do you do this? You need to research all your chosen artists thoroughly to find out about them. You can gather research from lots of different areas using books, articles, gallery sites, published websites, talking to the artist, and actually going to see the work for yourself. The research you gather needs to be credible and not just word of mouth by your neighbour or picked up from an old blog that you found. All of this credible research needs to be referenced in your bibliography as well.
Description is to give an account of something and any details pertaining to that something.
You are studying a visual subject, so description is very important. This is the part where you discuss the what and the how. The physical nature of the piece. What does it actually look like? You will need to provide a beautiful description of what you can see within the piece of work you are focusing on. This gives you the opportunity to use specialist terminology and technical language to show your understanding and knowledge of the formal elements. This is where a thesaurus can come in really handy as well.
Analysis is the process of breaking a complex topic or substance into smaller parts in order to gain a better understanding of it.
This is the why part of your artist section. Why has the artist painted it in this way or used a certain type of composition? What have they been inspired by to create their work? What is the connection between the materials and its meaning? Also, not only including factual analysis using research you've gathered, but what else can you link it to? Here, you can also compare and contrast between your artists. How do you interpret their work, and why do you think they've created it in this manner? However, you need to ensure that you are focused on the topic at hand and not go off on a tangent in this section.
Synthesise, the uniting of different art forms and making connections and finding common ground between the work of other artists and that of your own.
This is the part where your own practical work comes into it. You'll need to write how you've been specifically inspired by the artists you've analysed to create your own practical work. Whether you've manipulated their technique or been inspired by their concept, but how has your research, description and analysis of the artist's work empowered you and your own decision and practical work? This is what makes up your overall essay. You'll build this up in parts over the coming months, and it will grow and develop alongside your practical work, and hey presto, you'll have your own fully informed personal written study. Woo! There is a separate assessment grid for the essay that follows the same level structure as the practical work grid. However, there are no assessment objectives, and it's all based on the standard of your research and written language. So, back to the bed. The visual characteristics and standards of practical work become obvious to spot with practice. Just like the skill of a footballer, your written work is just the same. A low-grade sentence is the same as a Sunday footballer or a poorly painted picture and can indicate a specific level of skill.
Level 1. Tracy's bed is a sculpture in a gallery. It is her own messy bed with her stuff and rubbish around it. It has white sheets and a blue carpet and is a mess and is effective.
This sentence is littered with factual errors and poor English. There is some description, but no evidence of actual research, analysis, or synthesis.
Level 2 to 3. Emin's piece, My Bed, 1998, is an installation of her actual bed, the bed that she spent 4 days in laying, contemplating taking her own life. This bed has white sheets. White represents purity in contrast with how impure Emin felt. The rug is blue. In art history, blue represents Mary, the mother of Jesus, and again is contrasting to Emin. The bed is surrounded by empty bottles, tissues, cigarette packets, and other evidence of Tracy Emin's breakdown. These are not things which would be associated with a woman or what a woman is meant to be like in the eyes of society.
This piece is much more factually accurate. It explains some of the choices Emin has made as an artist, how they represent her concept, and they are beginning to make connections to wider issues such as society. However, it does not explain things fully.
Level 3 to 4. At first glance, you can see no more than a messy bed that is being exhibited in the middle of a gallery. This piece gained a controversial reaction from the media in 1999 when it was nominated for the Terms Prize. Emin lived for 4 days in this bed as she was suffering from a mental breakdown, and after 4 days, she saw what she had created and moved it into the gallery. The unmade bed has the covers pulled back, exposing the vulnerability underneath. There are bedroom objects dispersed and unorganised in a heap next to the bed, with empty bottles of alcohol and empty cigarette packets. The bed and the surrounding ephemera is evidence of her depressive phase continuing to haunt her and the aftermath of her own self-destructive state of mind. There is a sense of Emin's vulnerability and innocence, symbolised by the white bed sheets. The use of symbolic blue on the rug represents the ideal woman, Mary, the mother of Jesus. However, this piece is about Emin's feeling of failure to live up to what she feels she should be as a woman in the 20th century. Among the chaos, there is a soft teddy and a pile of used tissues showing the immense sadness she felt over the 4 days, and how she felt like a young girl again. However, thinking about it in another way, this was her place of comfort and saved her in her time of need. Emin's piece references art from throughout history. All those rumpled sheets look similar to the beautifully draped dresses in John Singer Sargent's Nonchalant, which is a painting of a woman reclining nonchalantly in a melancholy state. Emin's work could also connect to Edvard Munch's famous painting, The Scream. This is also about his own breakdown caused by religious fervour and undiagnosed mental illness.
This is a small piece of good quality analysis. It evidences thorough and credible research and understanding of how the artist has made connections to the work of others and the wider social content of the piece. It is these sorts of sophisticated and wider connections that will transform your thoughts into an academic and critical piece of writing. We've now explored together the personal written study. On Moodle, there are examples of exceptional written personal studies that you can have a read through to understand the standard expected further. They can also help you structure your own writing and your essay by looking at examples. On Moodle, you'll also be able to access all resources that have been given to you by your teachers to help you throughout the process of writing your personal written study. It's important to understand the purpose of your essay, how it can enhance your practical work and your overall grade. Just like your practical work, you need to read the examples to understand the standard again, and again. The greater your understanding of the importance of this part of Component 1, the better equipped you are to get a rate good A-level.